Good morning. My name is Don Alphin. In this video, we're going to be talking to our distributors of EssentialLeaders.com and talking a little bit more about duplication and some of the efforts that we make and we try to continue to do on a day-to-day basis to grow our organization and to grow our distributorships and our groups and just how we go about it. Now, in this particular video, I'm actually going to borrow some information and some material from a very, very successful network marketer by the name of Brian Crothers, who wrote a book, Building an Empire. And basically the part that I wanted to glean from his information was when he talked about how we actually approach our prospects. And he told the world essentially that he's a fisherman. Well, so am I. And so I immediately kind of honed in on what he was trying to talk about and really understood it. And I'm going to take a little bit from what he said and apply it to us in our individual group with Essential Leaders. Brian Crothers talked about the fact that sometimes when you get into network marketing, when you're looking at prospects and trying to recruit people or to enroll people in the opportunity, sometimes you could be viewed as a hunter. You know, you see somebody and boy, they look like they're a great person and they'd really help you in the organization, so you just kind of stalk them down. You look at them and you say, okay, I'm going to get them somehow, some way. Well, Brian Crothers says, you know, I don't want to be gotten by anybody. He says, I'm a fisherman. He says, I would rather lure people into the organization, lure them into the organization by using finesse tactics and not necessarily just going in there like a bull in a china closet. So what he talked about is, you know, when you fish, sometimes all the time you use a line, and the line has is rated to a poundage. So say we're using 10-pound test line. Well, if you throw that out there and the second that you get bit, your lure gets bit, a prospect says, yes, I'm interested, then immediately if you set that hook very, very strongly, you can just break that line right off, depending on how large the fish is at the other end. So Crothers made the comment that it would be much nicer for you just to very gently and gingerly set the hook and bring the person or the fish, if you will, back to the boat, back to the organization. Now that might come over a period of time, and that's the most important aspect that we're talking about here. If you're a hunter, you're actually going out to kill something, so to speak, and to get it and to bring it into the organization. But Crothers was talking about being much more subtle about that, much less direct, if you will. Well, I'm going to take off from that and talk to you a little tiny bit about why it's important that we have what we call third-party involvement in the process of taking a prospect to becoming a full-fledged builder, distributor, or even a product user in our company. Okay, so to give you a mental picture, I'm sure you've seen really direct approaches for a lot of sales things. You know, if you walk into a car dealership, guess what? You're going to have a direct approach. You're going to have a salesman walk up to you, and he's going to be face to face with you, and try to sell you a car. That's a direct approach. Now, smart car dealers don't necessarily say they're going to shoot you if you don't buy a car, but the idea is that it is a very direct, and many of us have experienced a very high pressure involved in this kind of sales. Well, first of all, in network marketing, we don't have to sell anything. All we're doing is sharing a product, and we're sharing an opportunity. And that business opportunity has unlimited potential if the people see exactly what the potential is. So let's go back to the story. What I'd like to have you think about is if you've ever been to the Discovery Channel and watched during the salmon spawn how grizzly bears or brown bears in Alaska approach getting their salmon. It is what I would call the quintessential direct approach. They go right out into the middle of the stream, and they have these huge and giant paws, even bigger than my hands, with big, huge claws on the end of them. And all they do is they watch and they see a salmon coming up the river, and when that salmon goes to jump, they take a swat with that big paw. Now, if they hit the salmon, and if they can grab it with the other paw before the salmon swims away, then they've got their meal. Or if they can get it into their mouth, they've got their meal. But what happens to all those salmon that they swat at and hit with their paw, but they are not able to get. Well, those salmon are pretty well maimed for life. Of course, their life isn't going to be that much longer anyway, because they're coming back to spawn and then they'll die. But the point is, that is a very, very direct approach, and it's really a take no prisoner approach to marketing. That's not what we do in at least the Essential Leaders concept of duplication. What we do is we are much like the finesse angler that Brian Crothers was talking about, but I'm going to talk about it from a tiny bit different take. Every time I go onto a body of water to fish, I am armed with a rod, a fishing rod, a reel, some line, some terminal tackle, maybe a swivel or something like that, and some leader material and a lure. And that lure I tie on and I throw I make a cast. And you know what? I even do something else, and that is that I actually put garlic oil or some kind of scent on my lure to actually disguise any kind of human scent that those fish might be able to detect in the water. Okay, now what are these tools that I've just talked about? What are the rod? What are the reel? What is the line? What is the swivel? What is the lure? Well, they are third-party tools. Now, in previous videos, we've talked about some of the third-party tools that we want to have any one of our potential prospects or enrollees or people who have expressed interest in the product and or the business opportunity. We want to have them get a hold of some of these tools, and we've mentioned them. Company videos, articles that could be researched from the company about any of the products, certainly testimonials from people, three-way phone calls with people. There are myriad ways for us to maybe product brochure, tasting the product, so many different ways. These are all tools that literally makes it so that you yourself are not you're not standing like the bear in the river taking a swat at people. All you're doing is introducing them to parts of our recruitment process or the duplication process. And remember, that's what we have to do in this business to succeed, is we have to be able to duplicate ourselves many times over. So going back to my analysis here, if I am actually involved in getting somebody interested in this business, my hands are completely off of what the decision-making process that person makes. I might be holding the rod, but I've got a rod, which might be a company brochure. I've got a reel that might be a company video. I've got a swivel on there that might be tasting the product. I might have a lure at the end, which might be an opportunity meeting with a company expert, or Josh Plant, the Harvard educated PhD that's going to be talking about the product. Those are the kinds of things that I can throw out to that interested individual. And so I'm physically not directly involved with this. I'm not swatting at him like that bear in the middle of that water, but rather what I'm doing is I'm simply giving him the opportunity to take the next step, to move that much closer to the boat, to move that much closer to our organization. And the most exciting thing about that is that there never has to feel, or I never have to feel in my mind, any particular pressure to make the right shot, to say the right thing. Because Eric Worre in his book Go Pro says, you know what, if you're talking to the right person, it's almost impossible for you to say the wrong thing. But you know what, if you're talking to the wrong person, it's almost impossible for you to say the right thing. So what I do is I take myself out of the equation after simply introducing myself, or finding out if there's any interest whatsoever in looking at a new business opportunity, or if there's any interest whatsoever in improving your health by trying one of our products. In other words, as soon as that interest level is there, then the next thing we do is take that rod, reel, line, swivel, lure, and cast it out there and move that target, move that enrollee or potential enrollee towards the boat, towards the Essential Leaders Group, distributor group, simply by urging them to have those third-party tools available and have them utilize those third-party tools to actually pique their interest and move forward. Now, that's not all of the process involved in getting a new distributor, but this is a really, really important one. We are not hunters. We are fishermen. We are fishers. That's what we do. And so I hope that this helps you understand the relationship between hunting versus fishing when it comes to sharing our product and sharing our business opportunity with potential enrollees. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.